I want you to imagine the sound of a photograph being lifted off a wooden table. It's a quiet sound, isn't it? A little scratch, maybe the soft rustle of the paper. It's not a sound that should be able to break a heart. But on that night, that sound was the loudest thing I had ever heard in my life. It was louder than my own heartbeat, which was pounding in my ears. It was louder than the whispered prayers we had just finished. It was louder than the blood that felt like it had just stopped moving in my veins. We were all gathered around our family altar. For those of you who don't know, in our tradition, the altar isn't just a decoration. It's the heart of the home. It's where the past meets the present. It's where we honor the mothers who came before us, the grandmothers, the great-grandmothers. Their faces are in simple frames looking over us. Their energy is supposed to guide us. My portrait was there, right in the center. My mother had placed it there when I became the matriarch of the family, after my own grandmother passed. It was my rightful place. It was proof that I had given my life to these children, to this family. And I stood there, frozen, watching my own daughter, the child I had carried in my womb for 9 months, the child I had fed and clothed and loved through fevers and heartbreaks and triumphs. I watched her walk up to that sacred space. She didn't look at me. She didn't ask. She just reached out with a hand I had held when she took her first steps, and she lifted my picture off the altar. She didn't drop it. She just placed it face down on the side table, like it was a piece of mail she didn't need anymore. Then, with the same hand, she took a new frame, a shiny new one, and she placed it right in the center. It was a photo of her stepmother, a woman who had been in our lives for only a few years, a stranger. I didn't scream. I didn't fall to my knees, even though my legs felt like they might give out. I just stood there. And in that moment, I understood something that I had never understood before. I understood what it feels like to be a ghost while you are still breathing. To be erased, not by death, but by choice. My daughter didn't just change a picture. She looked me in my living eyes and she told me that in her life, I no longer existed. That was the day my daughter replaced me with her stepmother at the family altar. To understand how that moment felt, you have to understand the altar. You have to understand what that picture meant. Our family is not a rich family in terms of money. We never had a big house with a pool or fancy cars. Our wealth was in our stories, and the altar was where we kept those stories. My grandmother was the one who taught me about it. When I was a little girl, she would light a candle every Sunday evening. She would take me by the hand, her hand rough from working in the fields, and she would stand me in front of the altar. There were pictures of people I had never met. Men in stiff collars, women with tired eyes. My grandmother would say their names one by one. She would tell me a little story about each one. "This is your great-aunt Celia," she'd say. She could bake a bread so sweet, it would make the angels jealous. Or, "This is your grandfather's father. He walked 40 miles to buy a cow so the family wouldn't starve." Those stories were my inheritance. They were more valuable than gold. When my grandmother passed, my mother took over. And when my mother's hands became too weak to light the candle, she passed that responsibility to me. I was the matriarch. It was my face that went in the center frame. It was my job to keep the stories alive. I had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. My daughter, Maya, was my youngest. She was my shadow. She had my eyes, my stubborn chin, and I used to think my heart. When she was little, she would sit on my lap while I dusted the altar. She would ask me, "Mama, will my picture be there one day?" And I would hug her and say, "Yes, baby. One day, when you are a mother, your face will go there. It's for the mothers, the ones who hold the family together." I believed that with my whole soul. I believed that I was building a legacy for her. I worked hard. I worked 2 jobs for years to put food on the table. I was a single mother for a long time. Their father, he left when Maya was only 3. He was a good man in some ways, but he wasn't a family man. He drifted away like smoke, and I was left alone to raise 3 children. I didn't have time for sadness. I just worked. I cleaned houses. I worked in a bakery at 4 in the morning. I came home and I cooked, I cleaned, I helped with homework. I went to parent-teacher conferences alone. I went to school plays alone. I sat in the emergency room alone when Maya broke her arm falling out of a tree. I gave them everything, not things. I gave them my time, I gave them my youth, I gave them my energy. I thought that was the definition of a mother, to give and give until there is nothing left, and I was happy to do it. Because when I looked at my altar, I saw my grandmother's face and my mother's face, and I knew that one day my face would be there too. and my daughter would tell her children, "That's my grandmother. She worked 2 jobs. She never missed a single school play. She was the backbone of this family." That was my dream. It was a simple dream. It was a mother's dream. When Maya was 16, their father came back into the picture. Not for me, of course. That time was long gone, but he had remarried. Her name was Patricia, and Maya was curious about him. I understood that. A girl needs her father. I encouraged the relationship. I even encouraged her to get to know Patricia. I told myself, the more people who love my child, the better. I was trying to be the bigger person. I was trying to be a modern, evolved mother. But Patricia was different. She was younger than me. She had a nice car, a nice house. She didn't have the tired hands that I had. She didn't have the stressed lines on her face from counting pennies. And she wanted to be a mother to Maya. At first, it was small things. She bought Maya a new phone. She took her shopping for prom dresses, things I couldn't afford. I saw the light in Maya's eyes when she came back from those shopping trips. And a part of me, a very small, quiet part, was happy for her. I wanted her to have nice things. But another part of me, the part I tried to ignore, felt a coldness creeping in. I felt myself being moved aside. Not by force, but by the shiny things, the easy life. Maya started spending weekends at her father's house. Then it was the whole summer. I tried to hold on. I tried to remind her of our traditions. "Come light the candle with me," I'd say. "Let me tell you about Great Aunt Celia." But she was busy. She was in that new world. A world without tired hands and old stories. A world with a pool in the backyard and a stepmother who didn't have to work 2 jobs. I told myself it was just a phase. I told myself that blood is thicker than water. I told myself that my daughter knew who her real mother was. She knew the one who was there for the fevers and the broken bones and the nightmares. She knew. I had to believe she knew. The years went by. Maya went to college. She did well. I was so proud of her. I called her every Sunday. The conversations started to change. They were shorter. She would tell me about her classes, her friends, but she stopped asking about me. She stopped asking about the altar. She stopped asking about her grandmother, my mother, who was getting older and frailer. Then the first real crack appeared. It was during the year-end family gathering. It's the biggest ritual we do. All the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, we all come to my house. We clean the altar together. We add fresh flowers. We light a special candle that burns for 24 hours. It's a time to welcome the new year and honor the ones who came before. Maya came, but she brought Patricia. Now I had no problem with Patricia being in my home. I had accepted her as my ex-husband's wife. But during the altar ceremony, Maya walked over to Patricia, took her hand, and brought her to the front. She stood her right next to me. And when it was time to light the candle, Maya handed the lighter to Patricia. My mother, who was sitting in her chair, she looked at me with eyes that were confused. My aunts shifted uncomfortably. I just smiled and took a step back. I let Patricia light the candle. I told myself it was a kind gesture. I told myself Maya was just being inclusive, but something in my chest tightened. After the ceremony, I pulled Maya aside. I said, "Sweetheart, the candle lighting is usually for the matriarchs of the family. It was a nice thought, but maybe next time just let me know." She looked at me like I had said something offensive. "Mama, she's family too," she said. "She's been there for me." I nodded. "I know she has, and I appreciate that, but I'm your mother. I've been here your whole life." She sighed, that teenage sigh that never really went away. "I know, Mama, but you don't understand. Patricia, she gets me." Those words, "she gets me," what did that mean? Did the woman who bought her a prom dress understand the sleepless nights? Did she understand the sacrifice? Did she know that Maya was allergic to penicillin? Did she know that Maya was afraid of the dark until she was 12? Did she know the sound of her first laugh? No, she didn't. She knew the new Maya, the shiny Maya, the one who didn't have to worry about money. I let it go. I was trying to keep the peace. A year later, my mother passed away. It was the hardest loss of my life. My mother was my rock. She was the last link to my grandmother, to the old ways. We held a small service at home by the altar. I placed her picture on the altar next to my grandmother, and I moved my picture to the center. It was my time. I was the matriarch now. Maya came to the service. She was quiet. She didn't cry. I thought she was just holding it in. After everyone left, I was sitting alone by the altar, looking at my mother's face. Maya came and stood behind me. She put her hand on my shoulder. For a moment, it felt like the old days, like she was my little girl again, comforting me. "Mama," she said, "I have some news." I looked up. "What is it, baby?" "Patricia and Dad, they're helping me buy a condo. I'm moving in next month." A condo? My daughter was buying a condo with her father and stepmother. No one had asked me. No one had told me they were even looking. I was her mother. Shouldn't I have been a part of that? Shouldn't I have been the one helping her pick out her first home? I felt a sting in my eyes, but I swallowed it down. "That's wonderful, Maya. I'm happy for you." She squeezed my shoulder. "I want you to be happy for me. This is a new chapter." "It is," I said, but I realized as she walked away that I wasn't in that chapter. Her father was, Patricia was, but I was being left behind in the old one. The final straw, the thing that really broke me before the altar moment, happened about 6 months later. Maya came to visit me. She was looking at the altar, studying the pictures. She pointed to mine. "Mama," she said, "why is your picture so old? You look so tired in it." It was a picture from 10 years ago. I was working 2 jobs. I was tired. But it was a picture of a mother who was fighting for her children. "That's who I was then," I said. "That's who I am." She shook her head. "Patricia has a beautiful portrait, a professional one. She looks so elegant." I felt a cold wave wash over me. "Maya, this isn't a beauty contest. The altar isn't about who looks the most elegant. It's about lineage. It's about mothers. I am your mother." She looked at me and her eyes were hard. "You gave birth to me. I know. But Patricia, she's the one who's there for me now. She's the one who helped me get my life together. She's the one who's helping me with the condo. You're always working, or you're here just stuck in the past with these old pictures." Stuck in the past. She called my legacy, the legacy of her great-grandmother, the legacy of the women who sacrificed so she could exist. Stuck in the past. She called my devotion, my life's work, a relic. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My voice was gone. I just looked at her, at this stranger standing in my kitchen, and I realized that I had lost her. Not to another woman, but to a version of life I could never give her. A version that was polished and easy and free of the scars of sacrifice. The annual gathering came again. I had been dreading it for weeks. My health wasn't great. My back hurt from years of lifting and cleaning. My heart hurt from the distance that had grown between me and my daughter. I still decorated the altar. I still bought the flowers. I still polished the frames. I put fresh candles, the big ones that burn for 24 hours. I did it all with my own hands, the same hands that had held my grandmother, the same hands that had raised my children. The family came. My sons were there with their families. They were respectful. They gave me hugs. They sat with me. But I could feel the tension in the air. Everyone knew about the condo. Everyone knew Maya was closer to her father now. They were all watching, waiting to see what would happen. Maya arrived late. She was wearing a beautiful dress, expensive. Her hair was done. She looked just like her stepmother. She walked in, gave me a quick hug that was over before it began, and went to stand with her cousins. Patricia came in right behind her. My ex-husband was there too, looking uncomfortable but standing by his new wife. I stood by the altar, waiting for the ceremony to begin. The tradition was that I would speak first. I would welcome everyone. I would light the candle. I would say the names of the ancestors, starting with the oldest, ending with myself. Then, the family would come up one by one to pay their respects. I cleared my throat. The room got quiet. I started with my great-great-grandmother. I said her name. I told the story of the bread that made the angels jealous. I saw a few of the younger cousins smile. I felt my grandmother's presence, my mother's presence. I felt strong. I went down the line, name by name, story by story. When I got to my mother, I paused. I felt the tears coming. "This is my mother," I said. "She taught me how to be strong. She taught me that a mother's love is the foundation of a family. She never let us go to bed hungry. She is the reason we are all here today." I looked at Maya as I said this. She was looking at her phone. My heart sank, but I continued. I lit the candle. The flame was steady and bright. I said my own name. "I am the matriarch now," I said, "and I pray that I have honored those who came before me." The room was silent for a moment, the way it always is after the lighting. A respectful, sacred silence. It was the moment of peace. The moment where we all just breathe and feel connected. That's when Maya moved. She stepped forward from the back of the room. She was holding a large, leather-bound bag. I watched her walk towards the altar. I thought she was coming to give me a hug. I thought she was coming to finally, after all these years, acknowledge me in front of the family. I opened my arms slightly, waiting. She walked right past me. She stopped in front of the altar. She unzipped her bag. She pulled out a frame, a beautiful, gold, expensive frame. I could see the picture from where I was standing. It was Patricia. She was wearing a white dress, smiling, looking like a queen. It was the professional portrait Maya had mentioned. I didn't understand at first. My mind was slow to catch up. I thought maybe she wants to put it on the side as a gesture of thanks, but no. She reached out with her other hand. She took my picture, the one I had polished just that morning, the one that represented 40 years of motherhood. She lifted it off the hook. She didn't even look at it. She turned it over and placed it face down on the table behind her. Then, with the same hand, she hung the picture of Patricia in the center, right where my picture had been for 2 years, right where my mother's picture had been, right where my grandmother's picture had been. The room was so quiet, I could hear the wax melting on the candle. I could hear my own breath, shaky and shallow. I looked at my sons. Their mouths were open. I looked at my aunts. One of them had her hand over her mouth. I looked at my ex-husband. He was looking at the floor. Maya turned around to face the family. She had a look of triumph on her face. She looked satisfied. She said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I just wanted to update the altar, to reflect who is really in our lives now. Patricia is the one who has been there for me. She's my real mother figure." Real mother figure. The words hung in the air like smoke. I tried to find my voice. I tried to think of something to say, something that would make her understand what she had just done. Something that would make her see the woman standing in front of her. The woman who had sacrificed everything. The woman who was still alive. But all I could do was stare at the picture of Patricia smiling down at me from my own altar. The altar that my grandmother had built. The altar where my mother's face was supposed to be honored. And I felt it, the erasure. It wasn't just a picture being moved. It was my history being taken. It was my identity being stolen. It was a public declaration that my life, my love, my sacrifice meant nothing. That I was nothing. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just turned around. I walked away from the altar. I walked out of the room. I went into the kitchen, my kitchen, the one where I had cooked thousands of meals for my family. I leaned on the counter and I closed my eyes. I heard whispers from the other room. I heard people shuffling around. I heard someone, probably my son, saying, "Maya, what is wrong with you?" But I didn't hear her answer. I didn't need to. The silence that followed her gesture was all the answer I needed. It was the silence of a family watching a mother be murdered and not knowing how to stop it. The family didn't stay long after that. They left in small groups, giving me awkward hugs, whispering words of comfort that felt hollow. My sons were furious. They wanted to confront Maya. They wanted to take the picture down, but I told them no. I told them to leave it. What was the point? The damage wasn't in the frame. It was in my daughter's heart, and I couldn't fix that by taking a picture down. I was alone that night. The candle on the altar was still burning. I went back into the room. I looked at the altar. There was my grandmother. There was my mother. There was Patricia in the center where I was supposed to be. And there, face down on the side table, was me, my picture turned to the wood, hidden, erased. I picked it up. I looked at my own face, the tired eyes, the smile that was always a little forced because I was always so tired. And for the first time, I felt ashamed of that face, not because it was old or tired, but because my daughter saw it and thought it was worthless. I had given my entire life to that child, and she looked at the evidence of that sacrifice and she threw it away. I took the picture to my bedroom. I put it in a drawer. I didn't have the strength to put it back. I didn't have the strength to fight. I just got into bed and I lay there staring at the ceiling. I didn't sleep. I just lay there feeling the absence. The altar was in the next room, but it felt like it was a million miles away. It wasn't my altar anymore. It was hers. It was Patricia's. The next few weeks were a blur. I went through the motions. I got up. I made coffee. I watched television. I didn't answer my phone. I let it ring. People wanted to check on me. My sons wanted to come over, but I couldn't face them. I couldn't face the pity in their eyes. They had seen their mother publicly humiliated. They had seen their sister commit an act of cruelty that no one knew how to name. Maya didn't call. She didn't come by. There were no apologies, no explanation. The silence from her was louder than anything she could have said. It was the silence of a daughter who had made her choice, who had picked her new life and closed the door on the old one. I started to feel like a ghost in my own life. I would go to the grocery store and see people I knew. They would ask about my children. I would smile and say they were fine, but I felt like I was lying. I felt like I was pretending to be someone who still had a family. I still had my sons, of course, but a mother's heart is not divided into parts. It's whole. And when one part is ripped away, the whole thing bleeds. The hardest part was the altar. I couldn't bring myself to go near it. I would walk past the room and see the flickering of the candle that I kept lit out of habit, and I would see Patricia's face in the center. It was like a wound that wouldn't close. Every time I saw it, I felt the sting all over again. The shock of it, the disbelief. I thought about taking it down, just throwing Patricia's picture in the trash and putting mine back. It was my house. I had the right, but something stopped me. I realized that if I did that, I would be playing the same game. I would be fighting over a frame. And the truth was, I had already lost. Not the altar, my daughter. She had chosen Patricia. And no matter where the picture hung, that fact would remain. So I left it. I left it as a reminder of how quickly love can be discarded. A reminder that blood, as it turns out, is not always thicker than water. Sometimes water is shinier. Sometimes water is easier. I went into a deep sadness. Not depression, not the kind you take a pill for. It was a spiritual sadness, a grief for the loss of my lineage. My grandmother had passed the torch to my mother, and my mother had passed it to me, and I had no one to pass it to. Maya had rejected it. She had thrown it away in front of everyone. The line was broken. The stories would end with me. There would be no one to tell the great nieces about Great-Aunt Celia's bread. There would be no one to light the candle when I was gone, because the person who was supposed to carry that flame had extinguished it herself. I began to think about what it means to be a mother. Is it just biology? Is it just the 9 months of carrying a child, the hours of labor, the years of sleepless nights? Or is it something you have to earn, year after year, day after day? Maya had made me feel like my motherhood was a debt that I had failed to pay. Like my tired hands and my old stories were not enough to keep her love. She had chosen the woman with the nice car and the professional portrait. She had chosen the woman who was easy to love. I spent a lot of time in my bedroom, holding my picture, the one she had taken down. I would look at it and try to remember who I was before that night. I tried to remember the mother who was confident in her role. The mother who believed that her love was a fortress that nothing could breach. That mother was gone. In her place was a woman who questioned everything, who questioned if she had been a good mother at all, if she had done something wrong, if she had worked too much. If she hadn't been present enough, I tortured myself with those questions. I started to see a counselor, a kind woman with a gentle voice. She told me that what Maya did was not a reflection of my worth as a mother. She said that children sometimes align with the parent who offers them the path of least resistance, especially when there is trauma like divorce. She said that Maya's actions were about her own need for validation from her father and her stepmother, and that it wasn't really about me. I understood that with my head, but my heart was still broken. My heart was still a picture face down on a table. Months passed, the seasons changed. I started to go outside again. I started to tend to my garden. My mother had loved gardening. She said it was like tending to the soul. You plant the seeds, you water them, you wait, and eventually something grows. I found some peace in the dirt, in the quiet rhythm of pulling weeds and watching flowers bloom. My sons would come over every Sunday. We would sit on the porch and they would tell me about their lives. Their children were growing. I was a grandmother. And those grandchildren, they didn't care about the altar drama. They just wanted to sit in my lap and eat my cookies. They would look at my hands, the tired, wrinkled hands, and they would hold them. They didn't see sacrifice. They saw love. And slowly, I started to see it too. I realized that my identity had been too wrapped up in the altar. I I had believed that the picture on the wall was the proof of my life, but it was. The proof of my life was sitting on my lap. It was in my son's laugh. It was in the garden my mother taught me to plant. It was in the memories that no one could take away. The day I decided to reclaim my peace was a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I walked into the room where the altar was. The candle had burned out days ago. The flowers were dead. It looked neglected. Patricia's picture was still there, smiling her perfect smile. I stood in front of it. I looked at her face. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel jealousy. I just felt pity. Pity for a woman who thought that taking a place at an altar was the same as earning a mother's love. I reached up. I took her picture down. I didn't do it with anger. I did it with a calm, quiet certainty. I wrapped it in a cloth and I put it in a box. I was not going to destroy it. I was not going to be that person. But it was not going to stay in the center of my home. Then I took my picture out of the drawer. I looked at my tired face. My tired, beautiful, real face. The face of a woman who had given everything. I put it back in its frame, and I walked back to the altar. I looked at the empty space in the center. For a moment, I hesitated. Was I doing this for the right reasons? Was I doing it out of ego, out of a need to prove I was still here? I looked at my grandmother's picture. I looked at my mother's picture, and I heard my grandmother's voice in my memory. We are the mothers. We hold the family together. I wasn't doing this for Maya. I wasn't doing this to win a fight. I was doing this for them, for the women who came before me, for the legacy that was mine to hold, whether Maya wanted it or not. I hung my picture back in the center. I stood back and looked at it. It looked right. It looked like home. I lit a new candle. I let the flame grow, and I stood there. In the silence, and I said the names, all of them, from the oldest to myself. I claimed my place, not because I demanded respect, but because I had earned it. And no one, not even my own daughter, could take that away from me. A few days later, Maya showed up. It was unexpected. I was in the garden pulling weeds. She walked up the path looking nervous. She didn't look like the triumphant woman from the altar. She looked smaller. She looked unsure. She stood at the edge of the garden. She didn't come in. "Mama," she said. I kept pulling weeds. I didn't look up. "Yes." "I heard you took Patricia's picture down." I paused. I looked at her. "Yes, I did." She crossed her arms. "It was my altar too. I had a right." I stood up slowly. My back was stiff. I wiped the dirt off my hands. "Maya," I said, my voice calm. "That altar was built by my grandmother. It was cared for by my mother. It is in my home. You do not have a right to put someone else's face in the center of it. That was not a decision for you to make." She looked at the ground. "Patricia was hurt. She thought you hated her." I let out a long, slow breath. "I don't hate Patricia. I don't know Patricia. But I do know that what you did that night was not about her. It was about hurting me, and you succeeded." She flinched. For a moment, I saw a crack in her armor. I saw a flicker of the little girl who was afraid of the dark. "Mama, I was angry. You were always so. You made me feel guilty for liking Patricia, for wanting to be close to Dad." I shook my head. "I never made you feel guilty. I encouraged you to have a relationship with them. I wanted you to be happy. But I never stopped being your mother. I never stopped being here. And you tried to erase me from our family's history, in front of everyone. Do you understand what that did to me?" She looked up at me, and her eyes were wet. "I didn't think you would care that much. It was just a picture." It was just a picture. She still didn't understand. She didn't understand the weight of the ritual, the sacredness of the lineage. She saw the altar as a shelf, a place to put faces of the people she liked at the moment. She didn't see it as the heart of the family. She didn't see it as the thread connecting generations. I walked towards her. I took her hand, the same hand that had held mine when she was little. "Maya, it was never about the picture. It was about the message. You told me in front of everyone we love that I was replaceable, that my 40 years of being your mother meant nothing." She started to cry. "I'm sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I just wanted her to feel included. I wanted everyone to see that I had a complete family." I pulled her into my arms. It was the first time I had held her in so long. She felt different in my arms, older, but still my child. I held her and I let her cry. I cried a little too. We stood there in the garden, among the flowers my mother had taught me to plant, and we cried for all the time we had lost. I told her, I will always be your mother. That is not a position that can be filled by someone else. It's not a job opening. It's who I am, and it's who you are. You are my daughter. And one day, this altar, these traditions, they will be yours if you want them. But they are not yours to give away to a stranger. She nodded against my shoulder. I know, Mama, I know. We didn't solve everything that day. The relationship was still fragile. There was still a lot of hurt, but the ice had been broken. The door had been opened. I invited her inside. I took her to the altar. I showed her my picture back in its place. I showed her the candle burning. I showed her the fresh flowers. She looked at it for a long time. She didn't say anything. She just looked. Then she looked at me, and for the first time in years, I saw something in her eyes that I had been missing. It wasn't just guilt. It wasn't just apology. It was recognition. She saw me, the real me, the mother who was still there, still standing, still holding the line. It has been a year since that day in the garden. Maya and I have worked hard to rebuild our relationship. It hasn't been easy. There have been difficult conversations. There have been tears, but there has also been laughter. There have been Sunday dinners at my house where she sits in the kitchen and watches me cook, just like she did when she was a little girl. Patricia is still in her life. I don't have a problem with that. I have come to understand that a child's heart is big enough to love more than one mother figure. The pain I felt was not about Patricia. It was about the fear of being forgotten, the fear that my sacrifice was invisible. The altar is still in my home. My picture is still in the center. And now, when Maya comes over, she stands with me in front of it. She doesn't complain about the old stories. Sometimes she even asks questions. Tell me again about Great Aunt Celia, she says, and I do. I tell her the story of the bread that made the angels jealous, and I see her listening. I see her beginning to understand that these stories are her inheritance, that they are a gift, not a burden. I have learned a hard lesson from all of this. I learned that being a mother means giving without the guarantee of receiving. It means loving without the promise of being loved back. It means building a legacy that your children might, for a time, choose to reject. But you build it anyway, because it's not about them. It's about the truth of who you are and where you come from. My grandmother used to say, the tree doesn't cry when the wind blows its leaves away, it just grows new ones. I didn't understand that for a long time. I thought the leaves were the children, but now I understand. The leaves are the attachments, the expectations, the need for validation. When the wind blows them away, it hurts. But the tree remains, the roots remain. And in the spring, new leaves grow, not the same ones, but new ones. And the tree is still there, strong and grounded. I am that tree. My roots go deep. They go back to my grandmother and her mother and the mothers before her. No one can pull those roots out. Not Maya, not Patricia, not anyone. My place in this lineage is secure. It was earned through sacrifice, through love, through a lifetime of showing up. And now I have a new understanding of what the altar means. It is not a trophy case for the living. It is a sacred space that honors the journey. My picture is there, not because I am the best or the most loved, but because I am part of the chain. I am a link between my grandmother and my grandchildren, and that is enough. If you are a mother who has felt erased, who has felt forgotten by the children you gave everything to, I want you to hear me. Your picture belongs on the altar of your own heart. Your story matters. Your sacrifice is not invisible. The silence you face is not the end of your story. It is just a chapter, a hard chapter, but the book is not over. We are the mothers. We hold the family together. Sometimes that means holding it together even when it is falling apart. Sometimes it means standing alone in front of the altar, lighting the candle by yourself, and knowing that you are enough. You have always been enough. My daughter did not break me that night. She tried to erase me, but she couldn't. Because you can't erase a woman who knows who she is. You can take her picture down. You can turn her face to the wood. But you cannot erase the love she has given. You cannot erase the sacrifices she has made. Those things become part of the soil, part of the foundation, part of the very air the family breathes. I am no longer a ghost. I am a mother, a grandmother, a woman with tired hands and old stories, and I am still here. My picture is back on the altar. My candle is lit. And my heart, though it was broken, is healing. It is healing because I chose to stand up and claim my place, not with anger, but with the quiet, unshakable truth of a mother's love. That is my story. It is not a story of a happy ending, the kind you see in movies. It is a story of survival, of holding on, of letting go of the things you cannot control, and of finding your way back to yourself, even when the people you love most have turned their backs. I will continue to light the candle. I will continue to say the names. And one day, when I am gone, I hope Maya will look at my picture on that altar and she will remember the garden. She will remember the cookies. She will remember the hands that held hers. And she will tell her own children, "That's my grandmother. She was the backbone of this family." And that will be enough. That will be everything. Thank you for watching if you haven't subscribed, yet please do so. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.